My husband, always engrossed in work and neglecting our family, was supposed to be away on a company trip that day. However, at my lonely daughter's request, I found myself at an amusement park, where I stumbled upon a shocking scene. There, to my disbelief, was my husband, the same man who was supposed to be on a company trip, with a young woman and a 3-year-old boy, all of them holding hands and appearing like a contented family. In that very moment, something inside me snapped, and I realized what had been going on. My name is Michelle Williams, and I am 38 years old, a working mother raising my 9-year-old daughter, Emily. I met my husband, Robert Williams, during a group date when we were both single. After 2 years of dating, he proposed, and we got married. Soon after, I became pregnant with our daughter. As our 11 years of marriage passed, the relationship between spouses began to cool down. Robert had been promoted at work, and his busy days meant he often arrived home late on weekdays and worked on weekends. There were even occasions when he stayed overnight at the company. When he was at home, he seemed perpetually attached to his computer or phone, leading to a gradual decline in our conversations. Emily, in turn, grew more distant from her father. Realizing the imminent crisis in our family, I decided to address Robert one night when he arrived home late. I expressed my desire for him to spend more time at home and pay more attention to Emily. However, Robert responded with annoyance, questioning why I was nagging him. He claimed that he was busy with work and suggested that I, as her mother, should take care of Emily. Without further engagement, he headed to the bedroom, leaving me distraught and uncertain about what to do. Around the same time, Emily brought home a drawing from school titled Family Picture. In the drawing, Emily and I were depicted holding hands in the center, with a small figure representing Robert placed to the side. When I asked Emily why she drew her father so small, she explained that it was because he was hardly ever home, and she was starting to forget his face. This revelation struck me deeply, and I felt a growing determination to mend our family bond. With Emily's 9th birthday approaching, I decided to plan a special trip. I approached Robert and reminded him of the upcoming Saturdays, and he awkwardly admitted to forgetting about Emily's birthday. We agreed to take Emily to the aquarium, as she had expressed a desire to visit. Robert reluctantly consented, and I hoped this trip would help restore our family bond. When I shared the news of the trip with Emily, her face lit up with joy, knowing that her daddy would also be joining us. Despite all the previous disappointments, the prospect of her father being present on her special day brought genuine happiness to her. As I watched her beam with delight, I couldn't help but smile warmly. On the day of the trip, in the morning, as Robert glanced at his phone, a look of panic overcame him. He suddenly interrupted our preparations, bursting with the news that he couldn't join us on the trip due to work commitments. Confusion and despair filled Emily's eyes as she was on the verge of tears. I implored him, reminding him of our prior arrangement and the importance of this day. However, Robert insisted that he couldn't cancel his work and left the house promptly, ignoring Emily's attempts to engage him. In the end, only Emily and I embarked on the trip. Throughout the journey, Emily remained quiet, her disappointment palpable. She expressed that she no longer wanted to visit the aquarium she had eagerly anticipated. It seemed that Robert's absence had deepened the divide within our family rather than repairing it. I couldn't help but release a sigh of frustration to myself. Upon returning from the trip, I confronted Robert after ensuring that Emily was asleep. He offered excuses, claiming that he had no other choice due to work commitments. Frustration welled up within me as he continued to evade taking responsibility for his actions, eventually directing his anger toward me. The pattern of Robert's absence from our family life persisted, and I was left to cherish the moments spent with Emily. She continued to distance herself from her father, as if he was no longer a part of her life. I knew that I needed to take action to address this growing divide. With a 3-day weekend on the horizon, I hoped that we could spend quality time together as a family. I suggested various activities to reconnect, such as staying at home or going shopping. Late one night, as Robert returned home, I earnestly implored him to make amends and rebuild the trust he was losing with Emily and me. He dismissed my concerns and claimed he couldn't alter his plans, citing a company trip during the upcoming holiday. Robert's responses left me disheartened, leading me to wonder if our family could ever recover from this turmoil. As the 3-day holiday approached, Robert initiated an unexpected conversation with me. He inquired about our plans for the break, and I replied that I was considering visiting my parents' home with Emily. I couldn't help but add a touch of sarcasm, wishing him well on his company trip. The first day of the 3-day holiday began, and I proposed a visit to my grandparents' house, which Emily welcomed. She had one special request: to visit the amusement park, as her friends had spoken highly of it. This endearing request warmed my heart, and I eagerly agreed to make her wish come true. On the day of the outing, we ventured to a slightly distant amusement park, where Emily reveled in each ride with excitement. I joined her occasionally while also watching her from afar. The day was filled with joy and laughter. Eventually, Emily expressed her desire to ride the roller coaster. As I preferred to stay on the sidelines, I waited nearby. It was during this time that I witnessed a scene that left me in disbelief. There, right before my eyes, was Robert, standing beside a young woman and a 3-year-old boy, all of them holding hands. This was no company trip, it was an unmistakable portrait of a happy family. In that instant, the truth hit me like a thunderbolt. Robert had not only betrayed me, but he had also concealed an entire family from us. My emotions spiraled out of control, and I couldn't contain my shock and outrage. It was at that moment when I decided to confront them, deliberately calling out with a cheerful tone, "Looks like a fun company trip, doesn't it? My name is Michelle Williams, and I am 38 years old, a working mother raising my 9-year-old daughter, Emily." Robert's deception had finally been unveiled, and the family bond one had hoped to restore was now in shambles. As I witnessed the shocking revelation of the child I had been unaware of, something inside me snapped. I was overcome by a surge of emotions, and I began to form my own thoughts about the situation. Determined, I approached them as they attempted to leave and, with a forced cheerfulness, called out to them from behind. "Looks like a fun company trip, doesn't it? My name is Michelle Williams, and I am 38 years old." Robert turned around upon hearing my voice, his face paling in an instant. Michelle, why are you here?" he stammered, taken aback. As a woman and a boy approached Robert, they questioned his relationship with me and the nature of the company trip. Robert appeared to be lost for words, indicating that he hadn't divulged the truth about his family to them. Recognizing the need to avoid causing a scene in front of the young boy, I discreetly handed my contact information to the woman and whispered in her ear, "I'm his wife. I'll leave for now, but you need to contact me." Her eyes widened in astonishment as she compared me to Robert, eventually nodding in agreement, her face drained of color. After departing early with Emily, I awaited Robert's return late into the night. When he arrived, I sternly questioned him, urging him to provide a detailed explanation of the day's events. Robert, appearing resigned, began to speak hesitantly, revealing that he had been leading a double life for about 4 years. He confessed to lying about his single status on a dating app, meeting Samantha Taylor, and continuing their relationship. Samantha became pregnant, and Robert had deceived her by falsely claiming to have no family, accumulating debt, and preventing them from marrying officially. I was left in shock, momentarily speechless, as I grappled with the extent of his deception. Confronting him, I demanded to know how he planned to make amends. Robert trembled and prostrated himself, attempting to justify his actions by describing Samantha as a mere fling and professing his love for me and Emily. He implored me to grant him some time to make things right. I decided to give him an opportunity, but insisted on maintaining a stern tone. I suggested he take a bath to collect his thoughts. As he retreated to the bathroom, I took a significant step. Upon his return, Robert's initial relief quickly turned to dismay when he saw that both I and his mistress, Samantha, were present. Samantha, who had reached out to me earlier, explained her perspective and expressed her desire to make amends for her own actions. She revealed that she intended to step back, realizing the gravity of he. As a result, a plan began to form in my mind. I decided to give Robert a taste of his own medicine, making him understand the consequences of his actions. Samantha suggested that both families could find a way to get along and live together, which would potentially bring happiness to everyone. I was left utterly stunned and unable to respond. Samantha then turned to address Robert's deception regarding his workplace. "Robert, I asked your wife about your actual workplace. It's systems, isn't it? You've been lying to me, haven't you?" Samantha's tone was firm, sharply interrupting Robert before he could concoct an excuse. Samantha continued with a calm demeanor, "Are you familiar with N Industries? It's one of our major clients. What does that have to do with anything?" Robert's puzzled expression remained, and Samantha proceeded to explain. "I thought so. I've heard the name Systems from my father. Yes, even though I claim to have severed ties with my parents, I actually ran away from home because of my overly protective father, who loves me excessively. My father happens to be the CEO of N Industries." She continued to reveal that she had contacted her father earlier to inform him of Robert's deception as a married man working for Systems. She was also expecting his child, and her father was furious. "My father is planning to notify N Industries about the situation and sever their dealings with Systems. By the beginning of next week, your company will be in chaos." Robert's response was desperate. "Hey, if that happens, I'll be fired." Samantha remained unyielding, "That's not my concern. We're breaking up, but I expect you to pay child support in full. Be prepared for that." Robert was left in shock and disbelief. "What, Samantha? Are you saying you're leaving me?" Samantha didn't waver, telling Robert, "Why are you surprised now? After deceiving and making me the other woman, did you genuinely believe we could continue this relationship? Don't take me for a fool." Rejected by Samantha, Robert turned to me with a shocked expression. "Michelle, I've settled things with Samantha. Let's return to our happy home with Emily, just the three of us. Isn't that okay?" I forcefully pushed him away, sternly warning, "Don't play games with me, Robert. I'm divorcing a man like you, too. I'll have custody, and I'll demand compensation and child support. Make sure to pay it properly." Robert, with wide eyes filled with shock, inquired, "Wait, are you saying you're leaving me, too?" I held my ground, staring him down as I shouted, "You kept betraying me, Emily, and even Samantha. I never want to see the face of such a deceitful person ever again. Pay what you owe and get lost." With Samantha and me standing there, arms crossed and stern expressions, we forced Robert out of the house. Following these events, my divorce from Robert was officially concluded. Although he cried, claiming he couldn't afford the compensation, he quickly transferred the money after I threatened to sue him. He began making monthly child support payments. Samantha's father provided her with legal assistance, ensuring that Robert paid her compensation and child support for their child. Under Samantha's father's influence, Robert was easily dismissed from his job. He spiraled into debt due to payments to both Samantha and me. He pleaded with both of us to reduce the child support, but neither Samantha nor I had any intention of compromising. Subsequently, Emily and I moved to a new residence, where we now lead a peaceful life. Emily adapted well to our new life without her father and expressed a preference for just the two of us with her mother. Samantha returned to her parents' house and began raising her child. While we didn't meet in person, we occasionally exchanged emails. My primary focus moving forward is my daughter's happiness, and I am committed to leading a positive life, free from the turmoil of the past.